The narrative tension hook. Piero Barone has spent 15 years shielded by the legendary harmonies of Il Volo, but now the stage has gone silent. Following the fallout from Sanremo, the trio's collective security has vanished, leaving Piero to face his greatest fear: standing alone. Can his singular resonance survive without the brothers who defined him? The visual contrast hook. Imagine the roar of a stadium suddenly fading into the haunting echo of a single voice. As Il Volo enters a definitive hiatus, Piero Barone is stripping away the operatic comfort of the group to rediscover his raw, unshielded identity. This isn't just a break, it's a high-stakes pivot towards solo artistry. The analytical curiosity hook. What happens to a world-class tenor when the safety net of a trio is ripped away? We are diving deep into Piero Barone's isolated path as he reevaluates everything he knows about his music and himself. This is the vulnerable, untold story of a superstar forced to find his own voice in the shadows. Piero Barone, Isolated Path, Reevaluating Solo Identity. During the Il Volo, Hiatus begins with the silence after Sanremo, a moment when the noise of applause faded and the weight of reflection finally arrived. For years, the harmony between Piero Barone, Ignazio Boschetto, and Gianluca Ginoble defined the emotional architecture of Il Volo. But the tension surrounding recent press appearances and public scrutiny created a rare fracture in that familiar rhythm. The immediate aftermath of the 2024 tension forced the trio to step back, and by the time the 2026 break arrived, the dust had finally begun to settle, leaving Piero Barone alone in a rehearsal room that once echoed with 3 voices instead of 1. That psychological shift from being 1/3 of a powerhouse to standing alone with nothing but a piano and a microphone represents one of the most profound transitions of his career. Because the identity he built alongside Ignazio Boschetto and Gianluca Ginoble was never just about music. It was about shared emotional protection, a musical brotherhood that absorbed pressure from critics, fans, and global expectations. Now the silence after Sanremo forces him to confront an artistic truth he has never had to face before. Who is Piero Barone when the harmony disappears? Stripping the operatic armor becomes the next stage of this transformation, because the transition from the grande amore wall of sound to the exposed vulnerability of a single vocal line changes everything about the performance dynamic. Inside Il Volo, the voices of Ignazio Boschetto and Gianluca Ginoble created a sonic cushion that allowed Piero to soar without fear of empty space. But in a solo environment, that cushion vanishes, and every breath becomes part of the narrative. The technical challenges are immediate and unforgiving, because a tenor performing alone must command the entire emotional spectrum of a composition without relying on harmonic reinforcement. Every phrase becomes heavier, every silence becomes more dramatic, and every imperfection becomes more visible to the listener. Yet within that vulnerability lies an unexpected opportunity for artistic evolution. Choosing a repertoire that reflects personal history rather than the brand identity of Il Volo forces Piero Barone to reconsider the music that shaped him long before the trio became a global phenomenon. Instead of selecting songs designed to showcase 3 voices in perfect balance, he now faces the deeply personal task of selecting material that resonates with his own experiences, influences, and emotional memories. This is where the narrative becomes truly fascinating, because navigating the solo landscape is not simply about singing alone. It is about building an entirely new artistic infrastructure from the ground up. Inside Il Volo, the touring machine was a powerful global engine, a system capable of filling arenas and coordinating massive international productions. Outside of that machine, the process becomes far more intimate and uncertain. Building a solo creative team requires new producers, new musical directors, and a new storytelling approach that emphasizes individuality rather than collective identity. Even his social media presence begins to evolve during this period of reflection. Where once the content revolved around the brotherhood of Il Volo, the messaging gradually shifts toward personal storytelling, behind-the-scenes studio moments, and glimpses of an artist rediscovering his voice in solitude. Bridging the gap between traditional operatic roots and contemporary experimentation becomes another crucial step in this journey, because the world of modern music rewards authenticity and emotional risk-taking. For Piero Barone, that means exploring genres and arrangements that allow him to present a more intimate version of his artistry, one that reveals not only technical skill, but emotional transparency. The vulnerability of a new resonance emerges most clearly during early solo rehearsals and stripped-down performances where the familiar harmonies of Ignazio Boschetto and Gianluca Ginoble are no longer present. In those moments, the raw factor becomes undeniable, because audiences are hearing a voice that must carry the entire emotional architecture of a song by itself. That rawness becomes both a challenge and a revelation. Without the harmonic safety net, the performances reveal subtle textures in Piero's voice that were sometimes hidden within the trio's powerful arrangements. The 2026 hiatus therefore becomes a crucible for his confidence, a period where every rehearsal and every quiet moment in the studio forces him to confront his artistic strengths and weaknesses with complete honesty. Many artists experience a similar moment when stepping away from a long-term collaboration, because leaving a collective identity often triggers a profound process of self-discovery. For Piero Barone, the journey mirrors a universal human experience, rediscovering oneself after years of defining life through partnership and shared purpose. Fans watching this transformation are not simply witnessing a career transition, they are observing the deeply human process of personal reinvention. And that leads us to the question that defines the final chapter of this story. What does the future look like for a singer who has spent more than a decade as part of one of the most recognizable vocal trios in the world? A singular future defined by reflection, experimentation, and renewed confidence may ultimately reshape his role when Il Volo eventually returns from hiatus. This period of isolation will almost certainly influence how Piero Barone approaches harmony, collaboration, and stage presence once he reunites with Ignazio Boschetto and Gianluca Ginoble. The solo identity he is building today could become either a permanent parallel career or a powerful tool that strengthens the trio's legacy by bringing new artistic depth back into the group dynamic. In many ways, the silence surrounding this chapter may prove to be more important than the noise of global applause, because it gives Piero Barone the rare opportunity to listen to his own voice without distraction. The transformation from a man defined by a group into a vocalist who has mastered his own silence represents the ultimate evolution of an artist. And as fans continue to follow this unfolding story, one truth becomes clear. The journey of self-discovery may be the most powerful performance of Piero Barone's entire career. If you love the music and story of Il Volo, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive documentary about their incredible journey.